Hi, Erika. Welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, sure. My pleasure. Now, I understand you've written one book. It's a self-help type of book. But before we get to that, I want to know a little bit more about you. Why don't you tell us who you are and how you got to the point where you wrote a book?
Oh my goodness. Well, we'll just dive right in. Currently, I am a 42-year-old single mother. I live in Utah and I absolutely love it here. I've lived a handful of other places, but wherever there's mountains is wherever I've got to be. I am a nature mountain girl through and through. Um, Currently, I have a full-time job. I actually work for an HR tech product, and I enjoy that work greatly. But where my true passion lies is not only in being a mother to my daughter, whom I adore greatly, but it's also helping other women along their journey. Um, there is so much involved in life and the age old argument, or I guess discussion, of nature versus nurture, where, different things that we absorb or attach to throughout our lives in early stages can affect us a lot more in our adult years. And the more different paths I tried out in my life sent me many a learning lesson. Some were easier learned than others, but along that path, I found a lot of things that I wish someone would have been able to help shed some light on for me a little bit earlier. And so that's really where my true passion lies, is helping other women find that freedom or that permission to give themselves to actually step into who they really are. So that's kind of what my whole mindset is now, and that's what led me to write my book. Kind of. I have sort of a funny twist on why I wrote a book. I didn't really think I was going to write a book, John, I'll be honest. And I'll tell you why. I never felt like my message was good enough or that it would be anything anyone would actually want to read. And I have this really bad habit of just being busy all the time. And I have come to learn that that was developed because I didn't ever want to feel the feelings. I just wanted to always be busy. But about a year and a half ago, I was playing indoor soccer with some friends, and a freak accident broke my hand. So I wasn't able to do a lot of the things that I normally did actively, and all my downtime turned into my book. And I wrote and I wrote and I wrote, and I never really thought it was going to go anywhere. But after some test readers got their hands on it, I realized there was an impactful message there, and that's how the whole thing came about.
Excellent. That's a very common story about not wanting to write a book and then you just write a book. You want the message to be for women. Is it it's sort of an empowering message? Is that what it is?
Absolutely. I mean, the subtitle is Finding the Courage and Awareness to Live the Life You Were Meant to. I think a lot of people, not just women, but a lot of people get scared to step into their truth or even speak their truth for fear of judgment or being kind of, I don't know if cast out is the right phrase, but hopefully that gets the point across.
Fear is a very powerful thing, and we feel it a lot these days. I sense it in society over the past 34 years. It's just been increasing, it, and I'm finding people like yourself are writing books like this, and it gives me hope that perhaps not all this lost. You had to dig deep to get some of these things to say in this book, didn't you?
I was very afraid to let people into my world, just because of a variety of reasons, like things that happened in my past, etc. But when that fear became very apparent to me, I knew that the answer to overcome that was learning to love myself first, because I realized that I was so afraid to let other people in because I was afraid they would reject me or they would hurt me or something of that nature. So once I was finally able to get past that, dig deep to love me, then the fear of loving others sort of began to melt away a little bit more. And I think that is, as a collective, something that is rampant is our fear to love others. I mean, I feel like it's not the norm anymore to actually just help a neighbor.
We are from different generations. Your generation Do you think that they have more fear than what you perceive my generation to have had?
I do.
Yeah, me
I
too.
do. I even feel like I have more fear than I did as a child. We ran rampant through the streets and up into the foothills of the mountains all day long in the summer. You know, our parents would send us with a sack lunch, see you at dinner, and there was no second thought about it. And I get paranoid letting my daughter walk 4 blocks to the gas station with her friend to get a soda. Like, it's different. It's very different. And I don't know if that's because there's more fearful things happening or the ability of technology and information to reach us more frequently and faster has ramped up that fear.
Yeah, I've wondered that myself. But I think that there's more fearful things happening. I think there's a societal change coming soon. Now, is this more of a new age thing where it talks about spirituality, or does it bring in some religious affectations as well?
In specific relation to my book.
Yes, to your book, yeah.
Yes. Well, I don't dive into religion in a whole lot. I was raised in a religious household. And that's not something that I practice anymore. I stepped away from that. Well, I stepped in and out of religion a handful of times in my early adult years. And for a really long time, the counselor that I was seeing, she said, you know, you had religion that took up this big place in your life for a long time. And now you've just walked away from it. You've abandoned it and you have this hole. And I was like, I don't have a hole. I'm fine. I don't need to replace it with anything. I'm fine. But it wasn't until, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago, I kind of started dipping my toes back into the waters of a spiritual practice, my own definition. And that is where I felt some more wholeness and some more inner reflection, the ability to connect with myself again. So yes, there is a lot of talk in my book of reconnecting with yourself and learning to tune out the noise, um, to detach from the constant need of external validation and look inside for that to create your own practices and your own rituals, if you will, to keep grounding yourself within your own knowledge, and realizing that you have the best answers for yourself, not every other influencer or strange person on the internet that thinks they know you and, and what you need to understand.
Yeah, very encouraging. How long did it take for you to write this book?
It took me about 6 months to write it. And it's not an incredibly long read. You know, I wasn't looking for anything that was, you know, in depth. My message is pretty straightforward and clear. I just wanted it to be just enough of an inspiration and a catalyst to help people start their journey. I'm not trying to tell people where their path or where their journey should go. I just wanted to spark something inside of them to realize that there's a possibility of something on the other side of that door, right? Like, you're up against a door and you know, I can't go over there. Like, that's not going to be okay if I go through that door. I shouldn't even think about what's on the other side of that door. That's not for me. It's not meant for me. I don't deserve that.
I see. Yeah.
Just just to be able to consider what's over there and maybe just crack it open a little bit.
Well, it's better than looking back when you're old and saying, "Well, I should have done this. I could have done that." It's better to have this option. What age group would you say this book is geared towards?
I would say probably anywhere from as early as young as 18, as young as 18 and anywhere beyond.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you talk about social media at all and its impact on people and their relationships?
Absolutely. Um, in one of my chapters, I talk a lot about an analogy that has to do with a compass, actually. And I don't want to play spoiler alert, but there is a part of that analogy that talks about stepping away from things that could be pulling at your compass needle. And a lot of that is just, you know, that constant tug of this other information that's just inundating us from every direction every day, specifically social media. And it's something that I'm very careful with my daughter as well. She doesn't have access to a lot of those things because I know how damaging it can be. It generally runs rampant with the compare game, comparing ourselves to other people, or this constant want. Like, oh, I see this girl has a new outfit. I see, they went on this cool vacation, and it takes away from the present moment and being grateful for what you have now to this like constant desire for more, 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 and that is 100% a recipe for feeling disappointed in your life all of the time.
Mhm. I've noticed a bit of a shift now. Maybe I don't see things as clearly as you do, being that you're a woman and you're, your early 40s. Do you see something's going backwards for women these days? I sense that there could be some loss of some of those things that they fought hard to get. Or am I wrong?
You know, I I see a little bit of both, honestly. I almost see one side of the coin of maybe a segment of women pushing pretty hard for even furthering that boundary of what was won then, taking that further, as far as anything is like pay equality, or maybe changing the perspective of so-called roles within the home and things like that. But then I also see another group of people who maybe are staying stuck or slightly retreating. But I also think there's different things rooted in that. I have some close friends who have left careers, female friends who have left careers to spend more time at home because they are concerned about the world that their children are facing. And I'm not sure if that's necessarily a step back in what's been won, but more where their priorities lie for their own personal world. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I
Um,
agree. I
but
agree.
again, yeah, so two sides of the coin for sure.
So how long is your book?
It's about, well, let's take out all the introduction and things like that. You're looking at about 100 pages.
That's nice. It's a good read. How are sales for you?
Yeah. They've been pretty decent. But I'll be honest, that was never my purpose or my end game. In all honesty, when I finally got the courage myself to publish this, my real end game was if I can at least just inspire one woman towards change, then my mission has been accomplished. It's never been about the money for me. However, one big blessing that has come from writing a book has been my ability it's opened other doors for me as far as speaking and getting my message out to larger groups, and even smaller groups, small retreats. I've taken some of my message into even some sales group trainings just to help refine that mindset, and empower people in a different way. And that has been an unexpected, amazing opportunity that I wouldn't trade for the world or for any amount of sales.
Have you done any readings at all from your book?
No, I haven't. I share snippets occasionally on my social media. And it's funny, I actually hadn't even considered a book reading until maybe 2 weeks ago. A friend of mine suggested, sharing a portion of a chapter that she found particularly impactful. Um, so yeah, maybe you also bringing that to mention is a sign. Maybe I need to do it.
So when you wrote this book, you were on a personal journey. And so having written a book, do you feel you've completed a journey and ready for the next one?
It's a compounding effect, right? I feel like what I learned in writing this book, and almost almost the freedom in sort of releasing this out into the world, allowed me to feel like I could be seen a little bit differently, by my friends, by my family, by anyone, which then allowed me to even go a layer deeper into my personal journey. Which then, of course, I actually hired a mentor, a coach. I'm a coach myself, but obviously we like to have that accountability and that learning, and it's just been layer after layer, and I feel like I continue to learn more and more. And the more light you bring into your world, occasionally there are some of those corners and those shadows that still come up, and that's honestly the most beautiful part for me, is that I don't want to shove down any of that trauma or those, feelings that I never wanted to feel because I had to be so busy that I didn't want to feel it. My main goal now is to better understand my shadow side, better understand, you know, what makes me tick. And I think the foundation of it all, and this is literally in the a course that I offer, is the very first thing that we cover is emotional and energetic awareness. Because if you can't sense your changes to situations, and you can't tell what a person or a situation or something, what it does to you emotionally or energetically, then you are numb. You're numb to this world. And so step one is starting to understand those things, and that allows you to get to know yourself even better. And it's a huge deal, especially because my daughter is 13. She's a teenager. Like these are difficult years. And so even this new like aspect of her energy and my energy, and like trying to understand each other, coworkers, family members, any of it. That journey for me is understanding how I work, how I tick, what affects me, not you ticked me off. Your actions created a feeling inside of me that I allowed, or that something, was brought to the surface with me.
Mhm.
And that's the biggest part of my journey right now. And being able to be real and be honest, because I'm, taking those layers off that all started with writing this, is a constantly evolving journey.
What does your daughter think about her mother being an author?
She thinks it's pretty cool. When I got my author's copy in the mail, I was nervous to even open it, because it had been just this like, huge buildup of just waiting for it to arrive. And I remember her, she's like, wait, mom, we got to video it. We got to video you opening it. And I was so excited. And, I started to get emotional after I was looking at it, because it was tangible. I finally had it in my hands, and I started to cry. And she said, Mom, why are you crying? And I said, this is a huge step for me, like in just really being who I feel like I've always been, but I've been afraid to be. And I think that alone has opened up a whole bunch of conversations for us, for her and I. And it is pretty funny. She's like, my mom's an author. She's like, look, mom, your picture's on the back of a book. Look, mom, you have a listing on Amazon. Like,
Wow,
it's pretty funny,
that's great.
but it
That's
means a lot
really
to me.
great. Yeah. You mentioned something about courses that you offer. How does that work?
Ah, yes. So through the course of my journey, again, obtaining different tools and skills to not only help myself, heal and transform into the human that I want to be, but I also gained a lot of tools and skills, as far as being able to coach and mentor others. And I do offer a one-on-one coaching. I have a handful of clients now, but I do also offer a course that is a 90-day transformational course called Reignite Your Life. And it goes through 7 different modules of teaching people so much about understanding themselves, allowing themselves to kind of crack open that shell. And really, it's interesting. I never intended this to happen, because I did write my book, and then I created the course. And go figure, the course modules actually correspond to a lot of the content that is in my book, completely unintentional, but realizing that the synergy between those two things, just in my opinion, was meant to be. And I'm just that passionate about it. But the course is amazing. And the feedback from those that have completed it has been beyond my expectations, which makes me very, very happy.
Excellent. So it is done online, I take it.
Yeah, it's a combination of online modules and live sessions as a group, and one-on-one sessions with me.
Cool.
And I have another group of that starting soon. I'm not sure when this will be released, but in a couple of months, there's a new program running. Well, it's that same program, but just a new session. And there is information on that on my website.
Well, here it is right here.
Lovely.
And so now you call yourself a life coach in addition to being an author. I'll have to, on the thumbnail, have to put that there so people understand. I think what you're doing is wonderful. How many clients would you say
Fantastic.
you
Thank
have
you.
right now?
Well, I think right now I have about 7 or 8. I did close my books to open or close my books to scheduling new clients for a little while, simply just because I did take a little bit of a different position at my full-time job, which took up a little bit more of my time. But I am looking forward to shifting that slightly.
Also, being a life coach must be very exhausting. I mean, emotionally, mentally, I mean, you're putting your everything into it. I could just imagine if I took on something like that, I would be very busy.
It's really interesting. I actually, and I think it's because of some of the tools that I have learned, it's invigorating to me. But I will compare and contrast that with this. For a very long time, I was a hairstylist and I also owned my own salon and day spa. And I did not understand how to protect myself from the draining energy of others, like as an empath. So I would come home every day from just pouring into customers and absorbing their venting, because you vent to your hairstylist. That's what us women do. It would just drain me. And I was nervous that it was going to feel like that when I decided to step into the world of coaching. But it's the opposite for me. I am invigorated and inspired and empowered every time I have a session with a client because I know that I have the ability to help them move into transformation and I truly have their best interests at heart.
That's beautiful. I love that. And I totally understand that. That's what happens to me when I do these shows.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Well, Erika, this has been very, very pleasant. And I hope you've had as good a time as I have had.
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to this and it's been amazing.
Yeah. I want to thank you for being on the show. And if you ever write a second book, you come back on here, we'll talk about that.
I would be honored.
Okay. You take care of yourself now.
You as well. Thanks again.
Bye-bye. And that's our show for today. If you like what I do here on Tell Me About Your Book, then please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that bell for future notifications. And if you are a self-published author, I would really like to speak with you. Until such time, keep on writing and be kind to one another.